Let's go. Let's go. I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time out and joining us. This is Real Bread Life. I am Jay Rome. I'm joined today by my man Bob Braley, longtime bread man. We've been delivering bread about the same time. And I wanted to get Bob back in. Bob was actually my first interview ever on Real Bread Life. And I really, really owe him a big thank you for being the first one to see that what I wanted to do and what I had envisioned was a real thing and that it could help me, him, and a lot of other people in the business that we're in. So with that being said, thank you, Bob. You can watch the video on our channel. It's got over 2,000-3,000 views. It's entitled Bob. No, I'm just messing with you.
Frontwards and backwards.
But Bob, go ahead. Tell people a little bit about yourself.
Where to start?
Got to set up something to the mic.
Was a family member got me involved. Long time family involved in the bread. Route became available. I was doing my own thing in the woods and decided I wanted to get out.
Doing your own thing in the woods. What do you mean?
Well, I was logging, land clearing, cutting trees.
Okay.
And it's a dangerous job. Much safer delivering bread. I'll say that. And the money's much more consistent. Different because the structure is different. You're tied to a company that's supplying you with the product.
Right.
And the system's already in place. The stores in your territory are yours. It's just a matter of you fulfilling your contractual obligations and delivering the product in good faith with the company, and the returns and all coming back. Fresh product on the shelves is your number one priority because people get a bad loaf of your bread and you're done with that customer. So you want that consistency. You want to perform at a level that you're happy with and that the customers and the stores and the company are going to be happy with.
Okay. Sounds good. I worked with you for years and I'm familiar with everything that you've done and how long you've delivered bread. And so, like I was telling you earlier before we were on camera, there's always a message, a question, or a area that needs addressing from all different parts of the country, from the north, the south, the east, west, whatever it may be. And one of the main questions that we field a lot of are related to the acquisition of the business, meaning buying the bread routes. And what I'm finding lately is a lot of the people looking for ways to get into the business are hitting roadblocks, and not mainly with the information, but just the access. Now, they can find things online. They can find information from the videos or YouTube, and they Reddit, Googling, and things of that nature. But what they're running into is everything's directing them to the brokers. And it's been a topic we discussed on a few of the lives. And what I wanted to do was ask you your opinion on using a broker to buy a route.
I personally don't think you would want to do that just because of the cost. I think it's unnecessary. If you really research it, you can see the vendors in the store sometimes. You can talk with them personally. Come on to the Bread Life and listen to the people here tell you how they got in and what the costs were. You have a budget kind of when you go into this of what you can afford to spend,
right?
What your limitations are financially, and what the company is willing to finance. When you get into those extra costs, even the people that are selling the route, anything above market value, you have to pull out of your pocket to pay the person for the route. You have to come up with, I think, 5% down for the transaction for the bread company, and they finance you at a commercial interest rate, of course,
right,
which is already expensive. And then you have to have a good truck, which is also a separate expense unless it comes with the route. But still, they're only going to finance the company bread route part of it. Any of those extra costs, including a broker, are on you. And a lot of people don't have that kind of extra money. You're going to spend what was we said 10% on the broker commission?
Right. And it's different. It varies in different ways. And one of the routes that I'm helping someone right now with, and we're going to be speaking later on after we're done in a couple hours. And he was telling me, just say, for instance, it was $3,000. Now, if they want him to pay $3,000 and they're not clearly defining what he's getting as far as the support of it, are they sitting in on a meeting? Are they walking him through the process of creating that incorporated status? Because for our company, LLC is not acceptable anymore. You have to be incorporated. So
I think they changed that
no, they just changed it.
just recently.
They changed it back.
Back to LLC. I
Okay,
believe.
so even if it is, are they walking them through the process of the LLC or the incorporation? Those are a lot of different things, because even online, when you get into the LegalZoom, Taylor Brands, there's different products in their process to try to upsell you. So, and I get it, it's business all the way around. I just think, like you said, you're incurring extra expenses.
Right.
So if you have a route that's 100,000, just using a regular round number, you have $100,000 route and you need to finance. Now you still need a truck. You still got to close. You still have to have overhead money, meaning if something happens, you're not getting a check. After you sign and close, you're not getting a check the next day, right?
It takes time for it to transfer.
Exactly. So to generate the initial, what would you say, return on your investment is going to be some time. What would you say from when you closed on the route? It's yours. You own it. You start to work it. How many months did it take for you to start seeing money that you were able to save or feel like, okay, now I'm making money?
That you were over and above your expenses and commitments for the bread route and your personal expenses at home?
However you want to define it. So because that, I know that it is a struggle once you start. And that's why I'm asking you, for anyone else that's watching, will watch this. After you sign, you close, how long, what type of window realistically did it take for you to be like, okay, that was a tough 2, 3, 4, what was it?
It accumulates in the account. It's
Right.
a direct deposit thing with your Gmail. So if you're conservative and frugal with your money, in a couple of years' time, you'll see your account start to build
Right.
with excess funds over and above your commitment for the bread route. Your insurances, you still have to have the liability insurance and the truck insurance.
Mm-hmm.
That's something they don't provide anymore. Well, they do. They got a new company to do it, and they are much more expensive. So it's something you're going to have to research. Anything commercial is expensive,
Right.
whether it's the loan or the insurance. You got to be ready for that. It's not like your home equity loan or your home mortgage. It's much more because it's commercial. So
Would you say it was years?
I would say, well, to get your feet under you with no problems now, no issues with the truck, and
Well, that's what I'm asking. Like, what within the first, let's say the first 5 months, how was it? Rocky?
yeah, because you've already invested substantially into your future with the business, and you want to have a cushion for an emergency. You want to make sure you got your credit cards in order so that in case there's an emergency, you have a buffer. You don't want to be maxed out in that credit sense where you have no maneuverability. And it does take time. I would say within the first year, you could get your feet under you, and as long as you work the route to its potential and are frugal with your money, in a year's time, you'll start to see that account, the business account, start to build enough where you can feel a little bit comfortable.
Okay. So, but able to live, like things are getting paid. Or are you
Right.
saying to have a cushion when you initially buy the route to live off of?
It's kind of
A
similar.
little bit of both?
It's similar to your home situation. The bank wants you to have 6 months of escrow when you sign on for that mortgage because they want to have the confidence that your ability to cover yourself
Right.
in a rough patch.
The proof of funds.
So you kind of want to do the same thing in a business. You want to make sure you have enough escrow in a case of an emergency that you can cover yourself without
Right.
it being a devastating financial loss.
Right.
You want to make sure you have a good truck because obviously you have to maintain that consistency. A day down with your truck, now you got to rent a truck. Your truck's got to be towed and repaired. So you've got like a double expense. You're paying for a truck that you don't own and you're paying for the truck that you do own to get back on track. Even a flat tire is tough because
Yeah.
you got
Down for the day.
You got to get that tire fixed, and you're still got to get your production out.
Right.
And there's really not much of a safety net in what we do besides yourself. You are your own. There's other guys in the building, but you are your own entity. It's your route. It's your business. They're your stores.
Right.
They supply you the bread, and they are there for a certain amount of support, the kind of support with the office that takes care of the technicalities when you have issues with your stores, or
settlement and things
and
of that
your
nature.
handheld control device and the things that go on at the depot. But you're basically on your own.
I call it desk support.
Desk support.
You get a lot of desk support.
Right.
It's not going to be, they're not, rarely are you going to have guys coming out, like I'll meet you out there on the road on the side of the highway, unless you're cool with an MSL to that level. That's a whole different thing.
They aren't really supposed to do
No, they're
that.
not supposed to, and I understand that.
That's like when you have, like when we were together in the branch, if you got into trouble, I could come back with my truck and grab your load, and we could go out and cover each other.
Everyone that networks together, and that's where we had that. Yesterday on the live, we talked about communication, and the biggest thing for anyone in life in general is just communication. Because once you build some trust with somebody, you communicate on a level where you feel as though you can support each other. That's what happens. Because we've had guys in the depot recently where they'll come in and break down a load and load a truck for someone.
Right.
So that they could keep it moving. We have people, like you said, okay, my truck is down. I can put this on my truck and drop it off. He's going to put that on his truck and drop it off because he's going that way at this time. And that's just a way to help each other and be supportive. And not everyone does. And that's okay. You have to build that. The other thing you were talking about is that cushion, where I always say being prepared for something to happen is very important, because something's going to happen. No one in the whole bread business as an independent operator has had a year where nothing happened, whether it be to the truck, whether it be your health, a family member, anything. The load is not,
even yourself.
That's what I mean. Your health, the load is not correct.
Right.
They put the wrong stuff in the wrong place.
Wrong bags.
The wrong bags. They're upside down. The numbers are wrong. So things will happen.
Right.
And I say that for this reason. If for some reason the product doesn't come, do you have enough in the store to get through? Are you running that light to where you can't even get through? So a lot of different things come into play. And this is what I was going to say. When people ask about buying the bread route, and you were just speaking about finances and the cushion, someone may say, okay, I got 15,000. I'm ready to buy a bread route. That may be okay, but you're going to put your down payment.
That's going to be 5%.
You're going to put money down on a truck if you have to get a truck.
If you got a payment on the truck and a payment on the route, then it gets tight.
And you have rent or mortgage.
And your personal bills.
And personal bills.
And your tax commitments.
You're not ready.
Well,
I just think
it's very tight. Well, there was someone in the branch that bailed completely because they had kids in college and paying for the route, paying for the truck, and paying for the personal bills. He was only going home with a few $100s a week, and that's not enough.
Right.
You got to be. Well, one of your guys have said that you got to. The numbers have to work.
Right.
They have to.
The numbers have to work. And again, you can do that if everything else in your life allows you to. If you can stand to just get deposited into your account from settlement through the business $200 to $300 a week for a few months until you get it right, then good for you. Everyone's not in that situation. If you are a soloist, meaning you're the head of the household and you don't have a partner or you don't have some type of cushion, then it isn't time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again,
especially if you got kids, it gets tough.
Everything.
Kids.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But we were just talking about all those other expenses. We didn't even say kids.
Right there.
So throw everything else we said in that's incurs as far as monthly bills, and then drop a kid or two in there.
Right.
And what they have to go through and what you got to do after work.
Right. You have to buy the right route too. That you can buy a $60,000 route, but you're not going to make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Your percentages are, what do they say, about 17% commissions. Mm-hmm. So when you do that on your weekly totals, you're going to be tight on the cost of the route along with a truck. I mean, if it's something you want to do mixed in with something else, you might be able to do that. But you're going to want to buy a route that's going to cost you some money, but you're going to make
the
money
return.
too.
The return is much. The return is much bigger. So, what I'm seeing a lot of is the 180s,
right,
the 220s.
Right. That's where you're going to make your couple of thousand,
the 250,
$2,500 a week.
Yes.
But then you start nipping out of that for your loan with the company. It's $400 or $500 a week, $100 a week for insurance, and then you got to worry about your truck payment, your fuel, and all your other expenses.
So when we talked and you did the video before, and for those that don't know, you said something really interesting, and I found it very informative, and it helped me to see the perspective of a way to do it. You talked about when you, a few years ago, were into the route, the opportunity came up to pay it, and you used your own equity.
My home
Break that
equity
down a
loan.
little bit, how you went about it.
It was 9.75% when I started, and that's
how much
fixed.
was it at that?
Oh God, it was 138,000 minus my deposit and all whatever. When I wrote the check to pay off the bakery loan, Bimbo Bakery's loan, it was 120,000, and I had a substantial equity loan on the house. I was very lucky, 2.5%. Because when you're paying on 9.75%, you don't see the principal moving very much. It's all interest on the top end, like your home mortgage. So when I brought it down to 2.5%, and it was a monthly cost for me instead of weekly, I still gave them the same $2,500 that I was paying on the company's structured schedule of payment versus my once a month home equity loan. And then I started to see the principal really move.
Right. So you ballooned it.
I think they say it's about 10 years to pay off the loan if you stick to the schedule of the bakery loan.
Right.
For me, it was less than that. It might have been 5 to 7. I can't remember exactly, but it was a much shorter period of time on a lower interest rate. So that was big. And with the home equity loan, I was lucky. If I had an issue with the truck or something else, I just added to the home equity loan, and I was able to keep going. Right. Any big expenses really weren't going to hurt me. I was lucky in that sense. But if you're structured just to the commercial loan, you got to be careful.
So what you did was use your home equity to pay off the loan.
To pay off the loan, and then I took it from a weekly expense to monthly. But I still gave them the same amount of money as if I was paying the other loan. So then when you're giving a couple $1,000s to your loan, even if it's on your personal mortgage at home, that's a big move.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, what you did is when you started to make a decent amount of money from the route, instead of splurging and buying things that didn't make sense or living like you were making a lot of money, you paid off the route.
Right. That's
paramount. Basically what you did.
Once the route was paid for,
you saw more money.
There was more money. Right.
Right. And so
I upgraded my car, my personal vehicle.
Right. But this was not in the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth year.
Well, no, I think in a couple of years I had paid that off. I paid it down because I saw how much.
No, you paid it down, but I'm not saying you didn't start.
Oh, I didn't pay
living differently.
No. But it got easier. There was a weight lifted off your shoulders. It was easy. It was easier financially.
Okay.
It was very, very well structured. Like I said, from coming out of the woods where you got accounts receivable monthly and you're waiting for money all the time, get a wave of money and you pay your bills and you're end of the month and you start over, waiting for money again. This is much more structured. The money, your phone pings once a week on Tuesday and you get your Gmail, your settlement comes. Very, very well structured financially as far as your monies. You know what you're going to have. And if you do your route consistently the same way, the Gmail money, the settlement money is close to the same, give or take a few $100s. So you really have an idea of what money you're making once you get into the system and run your route and run your stores. You must know it's pretty consistent.
Right. So this is what I was going to ask you, because I run into the misconception from people asking questions about acquiring the route and how they get paid. And we always tell them through settlement. And I just always like to be clear that the bread we drop off today, you're not getting paid for it tomorrow. And you just said something really important. How you run your route, the consistency you keep is going to allow you to consistently keep getting a decent amount of money deposited into your account. And again, I just like people to be clear that when we say the route may make 15 to 25 or $3,000 a week, it's not that you're getting a check on Friday
No,
in that amount. It's more or less the
it's once a
stores,
week.
yes, got to pay the settlement, and the settlement cuts from Bimbo or
And
whatever company you're working with will deposit that check.
And
like you said, it goes into the account.
And it goes up and down. First of the month is big because everybody, gets money
Right.
from at times. Holidays are big, but then you have your snowstorms where you get a good hit the day before the snowstorm, but the day after and maybe a couple of days afterwards, people aren't out there buying
Right.
bread. So it does go up and down. But if you look at it on a monthly basis, it's pretty consistent.
Okay.
You are going to have your good days, your good months, and your bad months. There's always something that could go wrong in the store. One time at the Walmart, they had a gas leak. So the place was shut down for the day. You go in the next day, you say, what happened? Well, they had to shut the store down because there was a gas leak. So all your product is still in there and you've got another load and it's coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You can't stop it because the way the system is structured, you're locked out for like 4 or 5 days in advance of where you are. So you really have to dance to sometimes, like you said, you leave the stuff behind at the depot, bring what you need.
Yeah.
And then put it on the truck for the next day.
And you're cutting into the next week to cut down.
And you
your
go
load
out and you try to
make
cut
adjustments.
Well, one of the things that I was always taught, and I tell people when they struggle, is you don't really want to knock a whole day out unless you're absolutely positively certain that you're so buried in product you can afford to knock out a whole day. What I always did was I would knock 2 or 3 days in half. So you always got something coming because you never know when you're going to get a cut from the company. Because if you cut a day and then they cut a day, now you got 2 days with no product.
Yeah, you're all set.
So you're better off to cut half, cut your days in half and catch up.
Right.
If you're allowed to leave the product in the store, which is also a problem because the Walmarts especially are very strict on the amount of stuff you can leave behind.
Yeah.
So if it starts backing up, it gets frustrating. You get nervous because you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got all this product. But then that's when you want to make sure your shelves are consistently full.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, you don't want empty shelves because you don't know how many sales you lost. If you got a couple of loaves left on the shelf, you're good because you got one loaf is not out.
Yeah, well, that's all I always say. I got something on the shelf. I didn't miss it.
Right,
I didn't miss a sale.
You didn't miss a sale.
So, thanks for sharing that. And I just wanted to give some insight on the process of acquiring and how it works, and just the whole settlement process.
Well, you have to sign your letter of intent first,
right?
Both people, so that that there's a
An
real
agreement.
commitment to transfer and follow through to the end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what would happen if one party or the other backed out. I'm sure there would be some financial repercussions of some kind,
right?
Especially for the guy that owned the route. If he decided, well, I don't want to sell it to you, now all of a sudden this guy's out his commitment with you, so. Yeah. There may be some legal recourse there, but that rarely happens. When it's decided, and and it is a bit of a process. It takes time.
Couple months.
Well, yeah, at least because they have to clear their hurdles with the financial end of signing on for the commitment for the loan, background checks. I didn't realize they were so strict on the background checks now.
And all companies are different, and their criterias are different, and some are more stringent than the others.
Well, you got to realize you're representing the company, not just you and yourself with your company. You're a representation of the bakery, whatever brand it is, and you're their financial or contractual obligations are your contractual obligations when you sign on.
Right. So
you can say, well, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, but in a legal commitment sense with the company, you've already signed on to agree to it.
Right.
And that's where we get into trouble with these big box stores because they demand service. They don't care about you and your life sometimes.
I mean, a couple times a day sometimes.
Yes. So the callbacks in the afternoon. So now you're going in the morning and you're going back in the afternoon, and it gets a little stressful. Your sleep is going to change. Your hours of the day are going to change. It's still a 8, 9, 10 hour day. It's just a different time of the day. It's not quite third shift, but when you get up at 2, 3 in the morning to go to the branch and get your load and get to the stores early for 4 and 5s, because you want to be in there before the customers get in there because they're just in your way. You love them, you need them, but Get out of my way. I'll help you find what you need, ma'am. What would you like? I'll give you one fresh off the rack just so that I can get you going down the aisle.
Yeah, I do it all the time. What can I help you with? Which one are you looking for?
And you know what? The customers really like that because it becomes personal with you and the customers. They know you after a while. They see you. They talk to you. And then they wait for you to come in with that fresh loaf of bread. And during COVID, people loved that because they were the only ones that touched that loaf of bread. Nobody else touched it. Nobody breathed on it.
Right.
And they took it right off the rack. And I tell them, you're the first one to touch that loaf of bread, and they like that.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember the days of people waiting outside in bunches for the stores to open. So thank you so much. So my next question is going to be more, based on the different stops you had or the businesses you service. So I know you did the same stores as me, Walmart, BJ's. I know you do the Stop and Shop. So I wanted to ask you about the schools because I know the route you had was school heavy.
Right.
What was like, because I know it was a day like dedicated to the schools.
Well, I did it on Monday. Hartford schools.
How many loaves of bread?
There's 40 schools in Hartford, and I did 13 of them.
40 schools. You
and
did
I did 13. Another route did the rest of them. So it was a real run day because you're racing the traffic, the buses, the parents, the cars. It's pretty amazing how many people take their children to school in their own cars. Even though there's a bus system, there's a lot of people out there. And
this generation is different, right?
Well, the kids are slower, I guess. They miss the bus, then the parents got to run to get them to the school. And I didn't mind it because, in Hartford, a number of the schools do the meals for the underprivileged, and the night meals. So I took it very seriously, getting the bread to the schools, and it was kind of like my community service to make sure that they got the bread. Some of the orders are a little small, your percentages are small, but there's times when it's good. It's 40 weeks of the year or 42 weeks of the year. So when the schools drop off, it's summertime and it's roll season, so you don't really lose the income. Because in the winter, the rolls slow down, and you got the schools. So it's the reverse in summertime. And there are some summer schools that you deliver, so there's a little bit extra there. A lot of the guys gave them up, and we lost a lot of them to a competition, but it's money on your route. You pay for the sale of the route. The guy that just bought my route, he paid for them. So you don't want to lose them. Everything on your route is a separate cost to your route.
Right.
So it's a constant tink, tink, tink of money. Everything that's sold, it's going into the till, and it adds up.
It adds up.
And if the person who bought my route was to lose the schools, it would be anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 of income off of the route and value off of the route. That's how it works.
Right.
So you want to keep all the stores
equity
you have. Right. So when a new store comes online and it's in your territory and you get it for free, that's a nice bonus. But if a store closes in your territory and they go away, you lose. You lose because you paid for it. So it's an up and down game. It happens all the time. A lot of guys. Sometimes a store moves across the street and it's in another person's territory. I've heard that too. One guy loses, one guy gains, and you feel bad for the guy, but that's business.
Cost
that's life.
Of doing business.
The business bread life.
I just wanted to ask you about the schools because I know that was a big chunk of your Monday,
right?
And Monday coming out of the weekend is a big day anyway,
right?
For me it is. So
it's a lot of refill because
on a lot of routes.
So I would make sure I had plenty in the store on Saturday so that I had a little carryover on Monday. So Tuesday would be your the minimal load that I brought in Saturday to get me to
Tuesday
to running for the school and to Tuesday. That way I could run light and fast because doing 13 schools is a lot of run and go.
And that's why I always go with every route structured differently. Right. Everybody runs their route differently. Right. And for me, Monday, Thursday, heavy day. For others, it would be Tuesday, Friday, or Saturday, Thursday, So I think that I always want to tell people, where's the route located? Have you been out there with them? Because people just hear a number. They say, well, it makes this much. And I'm like, have you been out there?
Right.
Where is it? Right. You just said something speaking to where you are. And for those that don't know, you were in Hartford, Connecticut. And Hartford is the capital of Connecticut. Largest city, very busy. A lot of major metropolitan area.
Of surrounding towns.
So you're on tight one ways and small two ways. And in the traffic with the buses and the school buses, the city buses.
You want to be ahead of all of that.
So you got to jump everything. So you're leaving the depot sales center at 3:30,
4 o'clock at the latest.
At the latest. So all of that to say, the hustle is real.
Right. Well, the guy that bought the route, I told him it's one way or the other. Either you're in front of it or you're behind it.
You're behind it.
So if you want to come in a little later and he's a little slower because he's new, I don't think that's a handicap for him, because after 8 o'clock, if you get going, by the time you get into it, by 8:30, everybody's gone. It's free and clear.
Right.
When it's a holiday or a snow day and they're delayed for 2 hours, that's pure gold, because there's nobody on the roads. It's beautiful because all the staff are there and they're 2 hours late, so you can go and not have to fight anything. It's beautiful. They're not serving breakfast to the kids where you can't get into the school.
Right.
You've got to be there at a certain time. There is a real structure to it, and now these schools are like fortresses, because they had incidents where they had unsavory characters trying to get into one of the schools. Rawson, it was, I think, a while back, and ever since then they're like a fortress. You have to call the kitchen. You have to make sure that the
protocols is different.
And you can't leave the doors open. That was one of the things. They don't want the doors open. And luckily for me, my girl was with me, so she made the call. She got the door open. I got the product and got it in. So it was very quick and fast. When you're by yourself, it's a little slower. You got to call. You got to wait for the girl to come to the door. The door has to close when you're in there. That was one of their big procedures, is no open doors. And
safety.
now they have. I don't want to call them truant officers, but there's
safety officers walking.
Is that what
school.
it is? Safety.
Yeah.
Some of them are police, but there's always somebody at the door now.
It's necessary. There's a lot of different things
and they're
happening.
kids. You don't want
It's a
nobody not
different
having
time.
nobody
Well,
kids.
you just said something a minute ago. You said, well, everyone's dropping their kids off now, and the kids might be slower. No, the kids aren't moving slower. It's just crazy has amped up out here in the world.
It is. And there's a lot more kids now.
Yeah, and so now people structure their day to where I'm going to drop the kid off, then go to work.
Right.
And it is what it is. I understand it. And
that's why COVID was so tough for everybody, because they had to be home. Somebody had to be home with the kids.
It was tough. A lot of kids were forced to grow up faster.
Yeah.
Because of what happened, and luckily we're here talking about it. Some people didn't make it through that. Right. So
structurally, socially, for the kids, it was tough because they lost that interaction.
Right.
And online learning is much different than in classroom.
Yeah. If you were, what are we now? It was 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So if you were 8 years old, right? Now you're 13, right? And you grew up in that. You spent a couple years in that environment
out of the classroom.
Out of the classroom, in the house, sheltered in. Now you say go outside for what? What is that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's why it's tough for everybody to come back to the office now with the in office that the businesses are all calling for, the government. They got comfortable being home and they don't want to go back.
Oh yeah, no more satellite employment.
Yeah.
Right.
We're all autistic in a way. We don't want our routine disrupted, and that's a big disruption when you get to stay home for that length of time, and then now I want you back in the office.
Right. And for some it worked, and for some it didn't.
Right.
And for us, I feel blessed to come from the era of being outside and all hours of the day. They had to force us to come in and go to sleep. And
we had to work through that. We were like first responders by being part of the grocery chain, because that was important, and a lot of people were eating at home.
Essential. They deemed us essential, I don't take it for granted. Like I said, I feel blessed to still be here after it, because a lot of people aren't, and a lot of people's bodies aren't the same from it.
Right. There's a lot of COVID problems.
Yes.
COVID cough.
Yes. There's a lot of
the taste was gone. I noticed some people didn't get their taste back.
Yeah. Well, people's bodies didn't never come back.
My niece
the
was
same
one
way.
of them. She still hasn't got her taste back. Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. And she's young. She's in her 20s. And
well, and I don't get into it, but you listen to some people, it wasn't real. But I know people that
they said Sandy Hook wasn't real too. Give me a break.
Well, he has to pay for that.
Oh, he's going to pay.
He's still paying. Yeah. And And because I know people that died. So it was real.
Me too.
And I know, I got lucky. I was fine, but I have really close friends of mine that were in the hospital and kind of was looking at the light. And they're still here now. But so firsthand knowledge of it being for real. But
that was something else we worked through. I mean, we said, for the unforeseen, unaccountable things, like we said with the gas leak.
Yeah, talking about the gas leak.
And during COVID, that Hartford Walmart was closed because people were brawling in the aisle over toilet paper. Yeah, they closed the store at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The cops threw everybody out, and the store was closed for the rest of the day. So you come into the store now, and again, it's like a hurricane, a storm, or the power goes out, and then you get that backup. And in certain stores, it has a real effect on you because you have product coming every day. You have a structured delivery. You go into your, and that's another thing you have to do with this bread route is you have to put in all your own orders. Right. You have to watch your orders, and you have to make sure you don't have product in there that you don't want because it's coming. If you miss it, it's coming, and you own it.
Right. And so it's another. I'm glad you said that because I'll go into that next. I always want to give the information. Because again, it sounds like I'm just saying the same things, but people hear, I want to buy a bread route. How much is it? I got some money. How much am I going to make?
It's not just the bread.
You have to, that part is very important, learning to order. Right. And learning to order is more important than just having the money. Right. Because if you don't know how to order the product, you're not going to make any money.
If you don't order enough, you're light. If you order too much, you're heavy.
Well, you have to know what to order for where, and it takes a while to figure it out.
There's a lot of products. It's not like Martin's. Martin's has like 6 or 8 products.
Yes.
We have hundreds. But not all of them we deliver.
Well, it's funny you say that. In one of my stores, I can pretty much bring anything we sell in that store.
I got one.
Only thing I don't bring is Entenmann's because the Entenmann's guy comes there. Right. Other than that, if we sell it, I can order it and bring it. Right. The only thing that's not good is some of it is tray rounded. So I would have to get a whole tray of it. And other than that, I can sell anything I want in that store. And it's a good thing because I find some of the stuff that most wouldn't think would sell, it would sell. Because there's a specialty for everyone. Everyone has something they want.
As long as you got that facing on the shelf.
Yes.
That's the other problem.
And that's the good thing about the store I'm speaking of. I'm great in that store. It's one of my favorite store, actually. It's just a market, East Center Market. I love that store. Yeah. And anything that I want to sell in there, I can. And most things I bring in do sell.
Anything they want, you can bring it in.
I can bring it in there, speaking of our products, which is so many. That I couldn't even name them all.
Sometimes the customers make requests.
They do. They do. Speaking of, like you said, when I'm in the aisle, hey, do you have such and such? Right. No, but I can get it for you. I'll bring 3. I'll bring 4.
I love that open format you have in that store because I ran that route last weekend.
Good people, right?
Yes, they are. And food was awesome. The smells were driving me wild in there.
Yeah, everybody says that in there. The guy, I was training the guy the other day, and I got him a sandwich, roast beef, probably best roast beef he ever had in his life. And actually, the owner made it for him.
That's a nice niche when you have a product like that because you get people back.
Everything in that store is always fresh. They do so much good business that the meats are always fresh. The produce, everything is just a revolving, Yeah,
there's a little pizza place somewhere down beyond the Yale Bowl. I took my girl to the airport because she went to Florida. And I stopped and got a slice of pizza because I was going by and I remembered the place. Okay. So, that's what you want is the repeat customers because they remember your food and good price. I mean,
Yeah. So speaking of that, like I said, that's my favorite store. In your route, in the route that you had, what would have been other than like the boxer? What would be one of your stores that you could say like I really enjoyed working with those people?
Well, it was Hall's Market in West Hartford because they had that same
it's like a Bazzuto's market, store, like an IGA.
Well, they do their own custom butchering. They were one of the ones where my monies went up exponentially during COVID because they did the curbside pickup.
Okay.
They were a grocery store and a butcher store. And my sales went from 300 to 400 a week up to 1,300. And that was the store, like you said, with East Center Market. I could bring them anything I wanted. And I was getting trays of any kind of bread that was left over at the branch, even wheat bread from the schools, anything just so that they had product. And they would just put a sticker on it.
And it would go.
And whatever they could do it in the cash register as a 50-cent sale,
right,
$1 sale.
They scan it and
so they
add
didn't
it
care.
In right to
they just wanted bread of some kind because they were doing phenomenal business. They hired extra staff and they were killing it because they had the butcher house and the curbside pickup and the grocery store.
Is it family owned?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, long time generational family owned.
Okay. Yeah, I find that those type
I love
of
that
stores,
place too because I told Dave, I says, you're personally responsible for me plugging in my freezer downstairs again because the meat sales were so good And my girl would get the extra frozen goods at the store just to have the stock, because after COVID, you wanted to make sure that you had enough groceries in the house where you didn't have to go out in case of an emergency.
Right.
The noodles, the crackers, the soups. I told her, if you see something on sale, buy it, because we'll just keep it in the house. The only thing we'd have to go out for maybe is milk. And I would go without that just to not to have to go out in the chaos.
Right. Yeah. You limited the times you had to go be around people.
Right. Well, not only that, the stores wanted just one family member to come out and shop for the family, to limit that. Remember that 6 feet apart with the discs on the floor? And just the separation and the distance and the gloves and the masks. And God, I remember that Hartford Walmart, they were dropping like flies in there. I never got it, thank God. I don't know how, but they had to do this ionizing cleansing of some kind that they did in that store. Besides all the wipe downs and everything, I never saw nothing like it. They had a tractor trailer sized box with the fans in it, and they blew the air through the store and pulled it out. And I walked from the back room one day where you smell the milk cases from the back, and the back room.
Right.
I walked through those double doors and it smelled like an operating room. I swear, it was the cleanest
Purified.
air. Ionized, purified, whatever. I even went and got one of the kids in the back room. I said, "You been out there yet?" He says, "No." I said, "Come on, you got to smell this." It was just unbelievable, clean, like I've never anticipated, unless like you go into a doctor's office type thing. And it only lasted for one day because Hartford crept back in. But it was just an incredible thing to see and go through, and that we were the ones in the store, and I was buying the wipes and the other essentials for the family because I was the one out there. And it was early. I was right there when the store opened after doing the bread.
Right.
So I would have
think
the
we
cooler.
all did the same thing.
I had the cooler in the back of the truck. I would buy the meats, and I had the grocery list, and I was the one doing it for the family. And I didn't touch my mother for like 6 months, my parents, because my mother's a little frail, and my father too.
I get it.
He's getting sick and everything. I talked to them from the driveway up to the porch. And I brought all the supplies with everybody wiping everything down. And my brother was scared to death of me. He says, "If anybody's going to bring it here, it's going to be you, because I'm the one that's out there in the
and
stores."
you're the one person who never got it.
And I never got it. Lucky for me. I don't know
Good
how.
for you.
But you know what? I didn't touch my face. And I got a guy that worked with me, and he was sick. He's been sick for weeks now. The guy that bought my roux, I won't name him, but he constantly is touching his face and putting his fingers in his mouth. He chews his fingernails. I'm like, get your fingers out of your mouth.
Yeah. Well,
When you're in these situations, don't touch your face. Don't touch your nose, your ears. Get a tissue. Don't touch your face, because that's the easiest way for these microbial
cross contamination,
whatever you
for
want to
everything
call
in
it.
the stores and just in the public.
Yeah.
Everyone, we're touching all the bread, we're touching the milk, you're touching. There's so much touching.
Yeah.
That's why I always
People
try
that go to the bathroom
keep
and don't wash their hands.
Oh, don't get me started.
And you with the hand sanitizer. The time I got in your truck after I blew my nose, you were like, I was like,
Here you go.
You touched your face.
Yeah, well,
right?
that's just
But
what it is.
Because I'm touching the rest of the stuff in the car.
Yes, and that's just it is what it is.
And people sneezing and coughing, not covering their mouths.
Yeah,
They showed that simulation on one of the TV shows.
Well,
I was
it's
how
real.
you cough and it just rolls down the aisle and over the shelves. And I thought it was a little dramatic with the presentation of how they CGI'd it, but it's true in a sense. You're coughing,
the
that
air
cloud
is the air.
You sneeze and it's a misty spray that comes out of your mouth and it just floats through the air.
Airborne pathogens.
Yeah,
It's real.
And humans are disgusting. We really are.
Yeah, they are.
We really
Listen, I get it. I appreciate you sharing. For everyone just got a little
We're doing
science
a
lesson.
medical study
Science
here.
lesson.
Yeah.
But that's okay because we're out there like that.
Right.
And again, I was just saying, I always try to keep the gloves on as much as possible when I'm leaving the depot after I load up in the morning. If I take the gloves off, I wash my hands. When I'm leaving the store, I try to wash my hands.
Well, one of the other
All
things with the
stores.
bread bags is your hands get dirty. I'd never understood how you get so dirty touching bags of bread.
Warehouse, truck.
Somebody said there's a little bit of graphite dust to help everything slide through the system. I mean, I'm not sure about that one, but or maybe it's the ink on the bags because your hands get dirty when you do this.
You just spoke about the air.
Right.
The air settles. It's got to settle somewhere. It settles on the bags.
Right.
It settles on the trays, the back of the truck.
Dust.
We're kicking. I was going to say we're kicking up dust.
Yeah.
It settles. So it's always constantly settling. You ever, like, I know I did, when I get done working, I take a shower.
Oh God.
And you would think I just came out of the mud.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
was in the slop sink at the branch taking a bath. Up to
Yeah.
the
So, and
armpits
that happens. So we have to always make sure that we
well,
do.
you got to realize there's a lot of cleaning stuff that they're using. They use the bleach and the cleaner on the shelves, on the doors of the glass, and we're actually expected to clean our own shelves at times.
Oh yeah, they've been telling me that for years.
I don't agree with. It's your stuff, but I mean, if the shelves are totally empty when I go in,
wipe them down.
I go grab the spray in the bakery and get the towel. And sometimes somebody will leave an ice cream cake or a candy bar or something on the shelf, sprayed with soda, sticky all over, and I have to clean the shelf.
Well, of course, I'm not gonna put my bread down if it's some soda. Juice
Sometimes you have to take stuff off the shelf that's been sprayed.
All the time. I find open packaging in Walmart and other stores all the time. BJ's. All the time. They get the samples. They just drop them on the shelves.
Yeah.
All
well,
that
an
stuff.
open space is a magnet for anybody that wants to put something down.
Right.
And that's another thing they expect you to do in the store. You're supposed to be like an ambassador of Walmart and take it and put it away where it's supposed to go. Sometimes it's a package of meat, something frozen. You know, you're not supposed to put it back in the case because that's been out for how long? You don't put that back in the case, or back on the shelf. Something went off. Oh, that's all right. Well, the time's up. Oh, you didn't have it plugged in, huh?
No. I had it. I had it going. It's only going to do as
no,
long
but I
as
mean,
it
I'm
can do.
surprised that you don't have your
You know what?
plug-in
And I
backup.
didn't even think to plug them in because I just charged.
Are they
them.
both off?
No, just that one. But it's okay. It's not a problem.
You're slacking. You're not keeping your electronics up to.
Oh no, everything's a go. We've been talking 46 minutes, Bobby.
But I mean, knowing you and how you are so particular and precise, I'm surprised you don't have the electric cord that charges that plugged into it while it's running.
Since we're still recording, I'm going to give you the information. The reason why I don't have them plugged in is because they would be like going like this, and he has to walk between them and go through there. Have you seen him squeezing by a minute ago?
I see him.
All that would just collapse.
Just the way you've progressed here from the first interview, if people ever saw that, to where we are now, it's quite. I don't want to say extravagant, but much more.
Yeah, you could say extravagant. Thank you, Bob.
Than it was.
Thank you.
And I'm surprised, even if you had to run the.
You mean where we had the clip-on mics?
Yeah.
And now we have the Rodecaster mics.
That little thing.
My bench is still on the other side. I use it.
Yeah.
I use it still.
It's quite a progression, and that's why I've said that when we first talked about how you.
It's a real thing here.
I'm surprised that you haven't been recognized or discovered on the World Wide Web in some way, for them to steal you away from your own podcast to have you advance to something a little more substantial.
Here's the thing. I still got work to do here.
Well, I understand, but
but I appreciate everything you're saying.
If the opportunity ever comes up, boy, I'm gonna. This would be like a secondary thing that you would.
You're involved, Bob.
You would have to come back to this and say, "Here we are again, doing your own."
Bob,
thing
we're still
after.
doing it.
Yeah,
we are here.
We are.
I am overjoyed that you feel that way, and thank you again. Like I said earlier, you were my first guest.
I was supportive in the car that day. I had to pick you up, and you talked about this at the.
You remember that?
I do. And
that
I
was
remember telling you
3
that
years ago,
got that
3.5
big
years
voice,
ago.
You got a great personality. You present yourself.
I'm gonna
well.
put that audio out from when I got the ride with you and we took that ride.
We got to be careful. We talked about the cops and driving while black and all of those things we talked about.
We talked about
being pulled over,
driving while black.
Well, I mean that's a thing, and I mean
I know it is. I'm black and I drive.
gee, I hadn't noticed.
He said we talked about driving while you're black.
Well, but it was all part of that initial conversation, and I didn't know you recorded me, so I was really freely letting it go, just you and me. But I didn't.
Yeah, but just so people are clear, you weren't saying nothing bad about me or anything. You were just giving your honest perspective, and what you're saying, I think, is people aren't ready for that. People can't handle that.
Well, at that hour of the morning, you wanted to drive down through the lights on 372 to get to the branch where I stay on the highway as long as I can.
As long as you can. I was
like,
get off right here.
And like I said to you, it doesn't matter who's in the car. It could be your grandmother in that car with tinted windows. They're going to pull it over in the morning and crumble because they got nothing better to do.
It
don't matter if you're black or white because I've been pulled over too. I remember talking to Rodney. And he's been pulled over,
Yeah, I remember.
They don't care. When they
I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
And I recorded, and then I told you after. I said I was recording, and I told you what I was going to be doing.
I was scared because I was thinking, did
What did I say?
Did I say anything stupid?
But I told you the vision,
right.
the concept, and why. And you were like, okay, yeah. And then months later, when I did it and you saw it, you said, now I get it. Yeah. Now I get it. And that made me feel good because you weren't the only, not that I was misunderstood, but I was saying it and everyone didn't understand what I was saying and the reasoning behind it. And now they see it.
And you like
now
that
they
raw
get
context. You like that from the heart conversation. Not scared to speak because you feel like you're being recorded. Because that's the problem nowadays. Anybody that's caught, like these Karen women that are out there being ridiculous and they get caught and they get put online. And look at that one guy at the Green Bay game. Who was he chastising? I can't remember now. But they tortured him. He was very disrespectful. Oh, it was an Eagles guy with the Green Bay girl. And he really lit her up disrespectfully. And that was all filmed and posted. And he lost his job. He can't go to the stadium anymore.
Oh, yeah. See, I didn't see it.
He got canceled.
Yeah. Yeah, but here's the thing. Wrong is wrong, right is right. I live my life like that, and I'm always going to stand by that. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and it is what it is. I'm not the voice for other things, and I'm not here to say what's right and wrong. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I'm going to try to stay on the side of right. I've done enough wrong in my life. That I know.
Luckily, it wasn't recorded.
What?
Me too.
We're talking about coming from that era of, we made it this far. We don't need to go back.
Right.
In other ways. So, I
got to tell you, I was a little intimidated at first when I went into Hartford. You hear about the shootings, the gangs, and all whatever. And I was a little scared. And I used to carry my weapon on me. And because I had my girl with me, obviously, if I got into a situation where I had to protect her, I wanted to be ready. And that was in the very beginning, like you said, those first couple of 3 years, getting yourself financially, your feet under you and all.
And you don't know what to expect.
And you don't know what to expect. But you know what? After a short period of time, I stopped carrying it because I've never had a problem with anybody black. It's always been a white person. I swear to God. And I hope that statement doesn't come back to bite me. But
no, it's that you're telling your honest. You're telling your experience.
Yeah, and
any back and forth has been your own people.
I'm gonna miss Hartford because I miss a lot of the people because they
treated you well.
They did, and I miss the kids in the store. I don't miss the management. And you want to know something else I found out just recently because I've done your route in Wallingford. I covered for someone in Cromwell, Newington, all the Walmarts. And some of the kids from Hartford, and not the kids, but some of the other adults, lower management.
When you're 60, you say the kids, meaning the younger people. I get it. I get it.
They were at these other stores.
Right.
And they were happy to get out of Hartford, too, because management was very difficult for them, too.
Right. The city is great. It's the management in the stores that was a little difficult. Right. I just want to be clear probably on that part of it.
For some reason, they were better. I had issues in Hartford with the management and deliveries schedule. It's a high volume store that needed to be delivered that way, but they would hinder me and handicap me at every turn and just make it very difficult and then complain that I was not taking care of the store properly. The 81 department, which was us with the bread, was the missed picks, they call it, because they have a record of the kids going to the shelf, and if the product's missing,
right, I get
comes
it.
up as
dealing with it now in Walmart.
So now they've changed their attitude a little bit about it. And then you were one that said that you backed off to the point where the shelves were empty enough with no backstocks that they had to realize, hey, we need to loosen up this policy. We need to let the guy bring what he needs to bring. But that created another problem in the back room because it was blocking an exit door because everybody was bringing too much. So they shifted your stuff to another part of the store where your guy that did the pack out missed because he didn't know the stuff wasn't there. Right. So they've created other problems.
Yeah.
Even though they've relaxed one problem, they create other problems. And the stores are limited. When they built that super center in Hartford, they were supposed to designate an area for the backstock for the bread, and they never did.
So with you saying that, let me say this, and this is what we talked about this on the live last night. How are you $1 billion company, $1 billion business? You cannot figure out in every building where to put bread backstock. I hope someone from BJ's, Walmart, Sam's Club, Big Y, any of these companies, any of these box stores, watch this and figure out you can't make $1 billion, multi-billion dollars, and not find out where to put the bread, it's bread, milk, and eggs. Where we putting the bread? You got a cooler for the eggs. You got a cooler for the milk.
A big cooler.
Where are you putting the bread so we could put it on the shelf? Bread counts too.
Well, for Hartford Walmart, they have a square there. I think they all lease the building. Some of them they own, some of them they don't. But there's a big square out behind that building that's all grass.
Build something.
That they could put a big box over there and just warehouse all. Because they have trailers that they
leave the trailers and they work out of the trailers.
Well, they leave them in the dock area.
I know what you're saying.
So they limit the dock space where the trucks can back in because they
have crates there.
They have to put the overspill into the trailers to get it off the floor.
Right.
The other problem is that they don't let you put the empties outside like we used to. Frito-Lay's carts, the milk crates that are stacked up, the bread trays, all of us. They leave them in the building now because some regional vice president of Walmart didn't like the way the back parking lot looked. That was that was their reason when I asked. So now you got all that extra unnecessary stuff being warehoused in the store, which creates even less space.
Doesn't even make sense. So here's what I'm saying. And I'm I'm not even that level of college graduate. But what I'm saying is this. If you got people sitting inside of an office or on a computer and they could figure all these numbers out on how to sell these products and what's moving here and how to do this, that, and the other, whatever, you're telling me you can't figure out how to find space for us to put bread racks, for us to sell the bread. There's got to be a way. You just talked about containers outside of the store, trailers outside of the store. Take some of those things that aren't going to perish, cardboard, cups, box, I don't know what else. Move it out the store so we can put some bread here. And you don't need 3,000 square feet for the bread. Right. You just need
we need a corner.
A corner.
For all of us.
A solid corner designated for the bread. But you know what happens? The bread can go here, right? But once we put the bread there, when there's no bread, they say, well, I'm just going to stick this over here. And now they're saying, well, I don't have anywhere to put my stuff because this bread's in the way. Right. We're not putting bread here anymore. We're moving it over to the other side. You know what? 3 months from now, we're not putting bread over here. Now we're moving it to this side. 3 more months, we're not putting bread here. We're moving it to that side. No one can consistently come up with a space for the bread. I implore everybody in all of these stores to find a space for their bread. Whoever does it first, you're the winner. That's it.
I've been a roaming entity in that store since I started. I've been in claims. I've been at the other end where the online pickup is. I've been in the cooler. I've been everywhere in that store, and I've been in everybody's way every time.
3 spots now since I've been back doing the private label in Walmart for the bread now. 3 spots. Yeah. And when I was there before, I'm going to say whatever that was, 8 years ago we were doing it. Was it 7?
Something like that.
Something like that. Whatever it was. In the Walmart, I moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That was then. I've already been in 3 different spots right now. Right. You know what I mean? And granted, the last one is just from one spot in the back room to the other.
One of them happened while you were on vacation.
That's what I'm saying. And since then, we've moved over by the compactor. So I say all that to say they need to get this together. They need to figure it out. Bread should not be the biggest problem you have in the morning. And because I don't think it is, they're not addressing it, if that makes sense. To them, it's like, whatever. We got other stuff to do. We're not worried about that bread, or are you?
We're 1% of their overall sales.
Right, so. Right. What's a big deal to us is not to them.
Right. Until they don't have any. Like that move that they did on you when you were on vacation, your shelves were empty because your guy didn't know. Yeah. So you lost a whole day of sales. And
whole day.
They're saying, well, where's the bread?
And it's right after a snowstorm.
Yeah, and they don't put it up for you. They could easily pull it out.
You know, that's one of the other things that drives me crazy, right? And we had a management that, and this is to me one of the wildest things ever. You come into a store, you see 2 or 3 pieces out of code, or you want to pull something off the shelf. Okay, I get it. You don't want to go put the other stuff up that's in the back room?
Stack out, it takes 5 minutes.
Maybe 10. Right. But do that.
They don't want
the other day, they pulled stuff off the shelf for me. It's dated the 7th. Oof. I came in Tuesday, it was in a basket. Or Monday. Whatever it was in a basket. Dated the 7th, which is next Friday.
They must have been.
They took it off the shelf, Bob. Yeah. I had 3 stacks in there. Right. No one put any of it up. The stuff they took off the shelf, I had it to go back up. Where's the and what we were talking about yesterday was communication. Where's the communication between the people in the store? Someone in the store did that. Whoever gave the order to do that should have said, "Hey, and could you go see if they have anything to put back up there?" You just take everything off.
Well, this was a forced issue from the beginning. We got rid of the private label. Flowers outbid us, actually underbid us. They were doing it for less than us, and it was a strategic move, from what I was told, to let us push the branded, and left all that private label to this other company to struggle with and get whipped on by the the store. And they took it back and gave it to us, which no one wanted. It was a forced issue, force majeure, or whatever you want to call it, because it was in your contract, because we had it before. So they didn't have to talk to us. They didn't consult with us. They did nothing. Very short time before the launch.
Here's the play, run it.
You're going to go with it, and this is it, and everybody's watching. Make sure you don't mess up. And
what they say? A lot of eyes on this. Yeah. A lot of eyes on this time. Where they at now? Where the eyes at now?
So what? Because
where the eyes at now?
We're the ones that had to do it. We're the ones that have to struggle with it.
No one's looking now.
Yeah, well, they're listening now, because the lack of help from the stores with the backstock and just the procedures that they have for us have made it that difficult, where now corporate is involved on both ends, talking to make sure that we have the assistance that we need. It should have been.
I hope so.
It should have been a direct ship item, but Walmart doesn't want to put the labor into putting it up themselves. They'd rather beat on the vendor,
like the Stop and Shop does, and the Big Y. They put their own private label up.
Where's the vendor? They don't even want to know your name. Just where's the vendor? Where's the bread?
Right.
Very impersonal at times. But
and I get it.
That's the job you signed on for. So,
like I said, I think we're not the big, not that a problem or an issue, but we're not the level of importance that we think we are in the store.
2%. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We are important.
We are. But when there's no bread on the shelf.
And that Hartford Walmart has become a monster with the online shopping. So
they all are.
I get it with the lack of room, because when you go in there and it's first of the month, I mean, good God, you just and holiday. They did what was it, Black Friday in November? 5 weeks in a row. They had a different theme for the Black Friday. So it wasn't just one and done. They kept that going.
They milked it. They milked it for all it was worth.
So that volume in the stores and the carryover from those week to week to week was building up on them. There's no room in the rafters. There's no room anywhere. So the bread gets squeezed over here. Well, you're and like you said, when you run out of your product, you put everything up and you've got a good rotation, you've got good delivery going. All of a sudden your space is gone. Well, now where do I put all the bread? You can't just leave it in the aisle, because that becomes a fire hazard. They have to move their product in and through the store. So you can't disrupt the apple cart to the point where you're obstructing. Everything has to kind of move and flow, but they have to acknowledge that your product is important and you need to be in the store.
No, I've come in the store since I've been doing that private label, and let me just give you a couple of different examples. I walk in one morning, coffee's on my end cap.
Yeah.
No one said anything.
Somebody's clothes.
Coffee. No, I'm talking the whole thing's gone. It's full of coffee.
They took it from you. Okay.
It's full of coffee.
Right. Now you've got
no
that
problem
for the rest of the week.
I go back and forth with MSL. He gets it done. He handles his business. All right, you got this one. I go to the back side of it, rocking and rolling for about 3 weeks. I come in on a Monday. Batteries.
Yeah.
What? Batteries?
Walmart giveth and
batteries?
Walmart taketh away.
Okay, no problem. We get it again on the other side. I come in a few weeks later, cookies. Yeah. I said, hold on a second. Why are there cookies on this thing? Well, they're running a promotion with the soda and this, that. I said, so
somebody should have told me so I can cut my order.
Yeah, no one told me. Right. So I just find it incredibly poor business when they don't communicate. That's all I'm saying. I said all of that to say three times, no one told me I was losing the space. And I'm thinking I just gained this space, so I'm coming in there with a lot of product.
You're up in your order, and you can't change it for 4 or 5 days.
No.
What do you do with all that product? It takes a couple of stacks to fill that end cap.
So, I maneuvered it. I figured it out, and I didn't really have a lot of stale, but I just juggled it. Like you said, I cut into the next week, and I figured it out. And again, that's part of doing the business. And like I tell anyone, over time, you'll figure out how to juggle and do your own orders.
Well, that's
in that
exactly
way.
what you said in the beginning about the procedures and the structure and how to work it. Somebody who hasn't gone through that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know how to respond, and they are backed up with product. You kind of panic. You get that panic attack, and what
Right.
am I supposed to do now? I've got 2 extra stacks in the store that I can't put up,
Right.
and 2 more coming tomorrow for that end cap for the rest of the week. That's 10 extra stacks that you don't need now, that you can't put up, besides what's the branded stuff going on the shelf.
Right,
We're
right.
doing a pretty good amount of bashing on the private label, and it kind of deserves it.
Yeah.
it
is what it is.
And it should be a higher percentage for the IO to make it more worthwhile.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
and it ain't, again, I want to be clear, and it's not bashing it like, oh, this bread sucks, I hate it, I can't stand it. No, it's money.
Right.
What we're saying is we need to be supported so we can continue to make that money and the store can make the money, because at the end of the day, we're doing business.
Right.
That's the goal. We're bringing the bread to sell the bread. It's not like I'm asking you for a favor.
Right.
Hey, yo, could you look out so I could drop this bread off and give me some space? No, I want to sell this bread for you so you and I
We both
can
make
get
money.
paid.
That's your business partner, right?
Yeah,
there.
exactly. As they say now, we're independent business partners.
Right.
Seems kind of independent.
Yeah, we're one way. But you know, the girls can in the store that have those devices where they scan.
Right.
They know how many are in the store because they can look at it. If the shelf is empty and it says I have 200 in the store, they know where they are, and they go to the back room to get them. You would think that they would be more proactive and say, we don't want the girls walking all over the store. They should be out by the shelf. And
It's a management issue.
well, the girls know on their
Excuse
way
me.
through the store as they go, they end up back by the milk. They know to run in the back room. They know right where it is. They go grab it so that they don't miss the pick. But by rights, they miss the pick because it's not on the shelf, because they don't allow you to have the volume or to watch to make sure that it's there even after you've done your callback.
Right. Well, that's the biggest thing, and I was going to let you finish so I could say that part. Their answer to that would be, well, you're supposed to do a callback anyway. So right now we're going first of the month tomorrow, right? So I go today. I go do my callback. You're at 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Right. After
Store's
that,
still
it's
open.
on the store.
Put that up.
It's on the store.
I'm not
after
coming
that.
back till 5 in the morning, maybe 6. If it's 4,
Right.
put that up.
Well, they want that live at 5. They want you back there multiple
Exactly.
times a day, and that's not in the contract.
Exactly.
They can ask for it, but that's not part of my deal.
And that's another thing I wanted to say for those that are watching. Once you commit to a route, you get a route, you're in a store, read your contract, know exactly what your contractual agreement is, and don't let them tell you, well, we would like you. There's a lot of things I would like,
Not obligated.
but it's not what I'm obligated to do. Well, it would be, kind of good if you could. It would be kind of good if a lot of things happen.
But you
So-
got to be careful how you present that to
Right.
management, because then you put a bullseye on yourself.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm saying
Now
all that
they're
to
watching.
say, create the communication and make sure you have a relationship and an understanding so you don't get into that, because there's a level of petty that can be matched
right.
on both ends.
They can make your life miserable,
Absolutely.
and they will.
And look for that one thing. You're here at 4:05. You can't come in.
right.
That's how simple and easy it is for
Or
them.
they refuse your order.
That's what I'm saying. They're not letting you in.
Right.
So,
They did that to me
Excuse me.
once, and it was second of the month,
right.
and
It's terrible.
I was just baffled by it, and I got in trouble with
terrible.
management because I spoke out against that procedure, because I've been doing the store forever. You need the product. What are we doing here?
Right.
They wanted me to come back on Sunday with the truck. And I'm like, no, your stuff's in the parking lot. I said, if I don't bring it in today, I'll see you Monday,
Yeah.
because I'm not coming back on Sunday.
The only times I ever do a second delivery or a run like that is during the roll season, because I wouldn't want anyone to be out, and I want to make sure I don't get stuck with the product, and I want to make the money. And most of the time, we're talking about the communication. Most of those stores, they agree to that.
Right.
It could be 2:30 in the afternoon. Hey, I'm gonna run and grab some more rolls. Is that okay? Yes, sir.
Yeah, the manager
We'll be
open
right
the-
here
they
waiting
will
for you.
open the door.
What
yes.
time? Let me know.
Yeah.
Call me on my phone. See, when it's that, they don't mind.
That's good to have the phone numbers for everybody too.
And that goes with the communication. But what I'm saying is, it shouldn't just be the roll season. We should have that same thing all year round.
All year long.
That's what I'm saying. Excuse me. That's like saying, hey, you didn't get me anything for Valentine's Day. You're my Valentine throughout the year. Why I got to just wait till one day?
It's Christmas every day.
So it's the same thing. I go with that in life. We not doing days. It's not just that one day, except birthdays. Birthdays are different. You're only born once because you're only going to die once.
In defense of the system, when I was trained, originally, I was told that you fill that private label once a day along with all the branded bread. And when the private label runs out, they're going to buy your branded bread. Because if you're just selling the private label all day, nobody makes money, including the company.
Right.
Which really baffles me as to why they would take that back when it was so strategic for them to give it up and let some other company take it and struggle with it. We were killing it on the branded. Our branded sales went out of sight. And now that they've topped out and management feels they can do more units, I hate that word, units, they want more units, they decided to take the private label back. And I don't know how much they're making. Obviously, there must have been a cost analysis of the whole thing. But if they spent $5 to make $1, they justify making that dollar at the expense of the people who are helping them with their business. That's all of us.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that it has something to do with how they were trying to restructure and put all the routes on one truck? And they figure if we have everything on one truck, I don't know, Takis, Entenmann's, blah, 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 all that stuff, whatever. And then now we throw the private label as well. It's kind of, we got it all covered. We got it in the smash.
It's a lot of volume. It's a lot of extra work.
Right.
And it's not a lot of money. I mean, it's money, but it's high volume for a low dollar. And after a while, you get frustrated with it. Management's always on you that you don't have enough. You're not doing it. You're not doing enough. You're not providing it to the store. But then you got to deal with all the situations that they create by not allowing you to have the backstock. And I think that's going to change. It changed a little bit in Hartford because they started to realize that they weren't going to be able to keep up unless you had the backstock.
Right.
So they've loosened up. Figures after I'm gone, they loosen up for him. Our management is a little more hands-on. Like you said, the eyes are there now. Our MSL is involved. It's going to help him on first of the month and holidays because he's there. He's on call all day anyway because that's his time of the day is 8 to 5. So after you're gone, he goes back in the afternoon. If you're light, sure, pull the stack out and throw it up.
Right.
That's the help you need.
Right. So you just said something now that you're gone. So let's talk about that a little bit. We talked about how you started, you bought the route and you got into the business and you refinanced, paid your route off. And it's so wild to me that you paid your route off. Last year, I did a video with you. Bob buys a new truck. You can look online on the YouTube channel. Just look, Bob buys a new truck. Nice little video. So you bought a new truck, brand new, right off the lot.
Before we had the private label.
Before we had the private label.
I was coasting. I needed an expense, so I bought the truck.
So you were coasting. You needed an expense. Explain that part. You needed an expense for what?
To go against my taxable income.
There you go. The expense to go against your taxable income was a brand new bread truck, and you want to say how much?
Actually, it was a 2020 COVID leftover.
It was COVID leftover, but it was new.
Had 5,000 miles on it.
That's still new.
So I got
I
got a great deal on it. And the guy that bought the route gave me the money I wanted for the truck because now Isuzu, Fuso, Mitsubishi, whatever the company is, they don't sell trucks in the country anymore. They stopped. So that's a real cream puff now.
Oh,
because
nice.
You would probably have to buy a lease truck or a rental truck or find somebody who's got a truck because those trucks are going to be harder to find.
They are hard to find right now. They're very hard to find. So back to where I was going. So you bought a brand new truck. You worked for a little while.
It was about a year and 3 months.
A year and 3 months, and you decided I want to sell my route. And you decide you're done. What brought you to the part where you decided I'm done with the bread business?
Well, there were some health issues. Got some arthritis issues now.
Okay. Were they bothering you when you over the last couple years?
Yes. And I
fought through them.
I did. I separated my shoulder once and had to work through that because there's no safety net. There's nobody to fill in for you. Very hard to find somebody to do this that understands the electronics and the delivery system to print tickets and get the product into the store correctly and deliver it all so that there's no carryover in your handheld that you get charged for. It's a bit of a niche to understand the system, but with the arthritis issue and all of the torquing of the coming down the ramp and the stacks and bending, and you do a lot of bending up and down, a lot of twisting motions. I was having some issues with it, and I panicked a little bit because I realized that if anything did happen to me, who was going to run the route?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to get breached and have the company take it over and run it until it was transferred out of my name, because then you're paying for them to run your route and you're not making anything because it's very expensive. It's not like the old days where they were a little more friendly. It's very expensive now if they have to send people out to run your route.
They charge you top dollar to run your route
Yes.
now, and I understand. I know because I know somebody that is going through that right now.
It's not friendly.
Right. So you had a few health issues. The arthritis started ramping up a little bit more, and you decided it was time.
I wanted to get out before it became a devastating issue. I wanted to be in control of it. I tried the Frito-Lay kid. He was looking to do his own thing, and he decided it wasn't for him. And then someone in the branch had a friend who was looking, who was making a minimal paycheck, and he was already part of the delivery system. Matter of fact, he delivered to one of my restaurants with another company, so he kind of understood
Delivering.
the vendor market.
Got you. The
retail
vendor process.
And having a friend in the building is also big because if they need to lean on each other or something happens with a truck or whatever, he's got a guy in the building. If he has trouble with the handheld device, he's got people in the building he can ask. There's a lot of support for that. But I wanted to get out while I was in control of getting out. I wanted to make sure that. Yeah, no signal. Is that you?
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks. So you put the route up for sale, and you were trying to move it, and just so happens a friend of a friend,
Right.
someone knew someone.
I didn't list it anywhere.
Right. No, but I was saying you were ready to make a move on selling it, and someone you had talked to gave interest but fell through, and then
another person just kind of fell into my lap. It was just a word of mouth thing on a quick somebody passing by.
Yeah.
And had a friend that was looking,
and they were serious. They ended up being serious.
My numbers on this route were good to the point where he could afford to. Again, it's starting over with this route, someone paying for it and buying the truck. I think he made a good choice. $50,000 for a truck sounds like a lot of money, but when you own this business and you're going 7 days a week, you don't want issues with your truck. It's got 16,000 miles on it now, a 2020. So I think he got a good deal. He's happy with it. It's a big truck, so you want a 20-footer when you buy this business, unless you have a small route. 16-footer you can get away with, but a lot of times on the holidays, like you said, when it's big volume, big amount of stacks coming back, you want to be able to pick up that big load and go with it and be done.
Okay, so you get it all set and you're ready to go. He comes through, he gets all of the approvals, you get the agreement, everything's set, and you're rocking and rolling, and you bring him out. First week he comes out with you, I remember you saying he's having a hard time. And nothing bad about him, just it's an adjustment.
Right.
And
you have to know your math skills. You have to have math
and
skills.
So it takes a while for, if it's something you haven't done before, it takes a while to understand it. And I said to you, I was like, Bob, everyone's not you.
I know.
And I say that because I'm not like you. I'm not like some of my other friends, like even the cameraman here.
Right.
And I could do math. I'm good at math. But some people just snap, crackle, pop in different ways with different math. And it clicks in a different way. And they respond to the numbers differently. I'm the guy who I would used to be, okay. And you know what I mean? Whereas the other one is just like in their head real quick. We're going to both have the same answer.
Take a longer time to get there. That's
a couple seconds more. Right. But what I'm saying is, and I said that to you, I'm like, just, he'll get it. And he got it.
That handheld device is tough. In the beginning, I was terrible with it too. It's my nemesis. I hated that thing. But it's what you need to learn to deliver the bread.
So it's funny you say that because I know your level of competence with the handheld device and the phones. It's better now with the device. You're probably better with the handheld for the bread than you are with your phone.
Right, exactly.
And I laugh at that because you're a couple years older than me, and I always say we're dinosaurs.
I don't app. I have trouble with acting.
Listen, I put you on a video. I had to show you how to watch yourself.
Yeah. But that's how you learn. Is the reps, the
so it's
repetitions
funny.
that you
But
learn.
back to the guy who brought the route. And again, like I said to you, I'm like, he'll get it. It'll be fine. And I was saying that because I remember my struggle when I first started to deliver the bread. And it wasn't so much about the math skills. It was the organization, finding my routine, and sticking to it, and finding a disciplined routine that I could follow and not cutting corners.
And the rhythm of delivering to the
there
stores.
you go. The rhythm of delivering to the stores.
When I did it, I would do the BJ's first.
Right.
Because it was 4 a.m. I don't want to be at Walmart at 4 a.m, even though they're going to be open, because it takes the people time to get in, check in, get the handheld device for them to do their job. It takes them 15, 20 minutes to get to the back door. So you have to be aware that you're probably not going to get in that store early. So you go to where you can get in.
Right.
You got to know when your store's open. You got to know what days, some days. And a lot of your time and delivery hinges on the receivers of the stores being there. Yeah. Sometimes when they're not there, now all of a sudden you're all set. There's a wrench right into the works, and
now you're got to go in another direction, another 20 minutes.
Sometimes you don't want to do that because you got to drive to another town.
I'd rather sit.
Right. Yeah.
I'd rather sit and wait. And it's a good thing to know once you learn your route. And I tell everyone every time I'm giving the information, know the route you're gonna get and figure out how you're gonna deliver to it, because there's probably 5 stops I don't have that I used to have 10 years ago. I don't have them anymore. So my route is structured differently. And now, again, having this private label like the Walmart, I'm every day. Right. There was days I wouldn't even deliver.
Remember, you were down to 4 days a week. It was beautiful.
Yeah. And 3 if I wanted to. Right. But
if you delivered big on 3 days, you could get away with it. Just go drive to the store and do a pack out.
And exactly. So I'm glad that he figured it out, and anyone and everyone will. It just takes time. And that's the hardest thing for some people, is understanding it's going to take some time. It's not going to be, you're not going to come in here, start working and say, I'm going to be done at 9 o'clock. That doesn't work. Not every day, but not even when you first start.
Oh, no.
No way. You might just be getting to your second stop at 9 o'clock.
Right. It takes time to get
when you're by yourself, because he was doing it with you. It was different. The first day you left him on his own, I think he got back at 2:30.
Yeah, I told him it's an illusion because there's 2 of us out here.
There's 2 of us, and I know what I'm doing. Right. You don't.
And something else we talked about before was, if you really going to do this, if you really seriously want to buy a route, you should take the time on your own time to drive with the person and do the route with them, to see exactly what it's all about, to know exactly what it's all about.
Right.
To go to the stores, go to the receivers, pull the stuff through the stores, and do the job. Don't just think you're going to look at it on paper and say, okay, this is how it's going to work.
Right.
You've got to get out there and you've got to drive.
I'm glad you said that.
Sometimes there's heavy traffic. You got to know your ways around to get back to the branch.
Because the route may look great on paper.
Sure.
They might say, listen, I guarantee you're going to bring in $3,000 a week. No question. It might be. Right. Before you say yes and commit to that, go out. And not just one day.
Yeah, you're working.
Do it 3 days. Go through it 3 days and be sure you want to go through that traffic. You want to do that ride from whatever sales center or depot you're at to the first stop. There's guys in our depot that drive 40 minutes before they even go to their first stop.
Well, that's
going up north.
It's another good thing that you're talking about, is try to buy a route that's near where you live.
Right.
I live in Oxford and go into Hartford every day. From Cromwell to Hartford, Oxford to Cromwell to Hartford is an hour.
Right.
Just in driving each way.
But the good thing is, once you get to where you're loading your truck, you're only going another 20 minutes.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? It's not like you know.
I got a tight route. It's all in Hartford and West Hartford.
It's like mine.
Some guys drive around 3, 4, 5 towns.
I'm in a strip.
Right.
I'm up the strip, down the strip, up the strip, down the strip. Right. Take a left, take a right, and I'm all set. So every route is not going to be that.
And if you do it in a nice loop, when you get to your last stop, you're the closest to coming back.
Right back home. So every route is not set up that nice. And that's why, you got to find something that's good for you.
That's why when I did the schools, I was at Walmart and headed out, and it was a long loop. And when I came back, I came to Walmart, picked up all my empties, and jumped on the highway and went home.
Right.
I did it right. And if I was by myself, because my girl didn't work and I didn't have every school, I would make sure that the farthest school away from where the center of town was, close to the branch, was where I ended and jumped right on the highway.
Right. route structure and delivery structure is
'Cause
just
that saves
key.
you time.
Everything is time.
Every time.
It's all
you
about
spend
the
an
time.
extra 10, 15 minutes at each stop. You got 6 stops. That's 90 minutes.
Yeah.
That's added to your day when things don't go
It's
right.
hour
When
and a
things
half.
don't always go right.
That's why when you called me today to come meet me, I said I
You
was
were
still on
late,
my way
yeah,
back.
Yeah. And I didn't know what that meant. Was you on your way back?
And
to
I
the
wasn't
ranch,
clear
or
on my
your way here?
communication.
I mean,
and that was
who
me.
knows what goes wrong out there? Anything can go wrong. You have a mechanical issue. You have a tire issue.
So
So you got to have those numbers all in your armor, your arsenal. You got to know the places where you can rent a truck. Have that information ready.
mhm.
And you need don't
Oh,
you,
your
you don't
tow,
want to wait
your
till
tow
that
truck
day.
guy, your brake
You
guy,
gotta
your
have
transmission guy, all of that.
Your repair places. You know where you're going to get anything that any emergency that could come up. You should have that ready in your phone and your arsenal to say, all right, I got to go get a truck. I got to this. I got to that. Have your good guys in place. Even first of the month, Kyle would always ask me with the Thomas because he had the big 2 racks of BJs. Could you take my BJs for me? Because he couldn't fit it all in his truck because he had a smaller truck.
Mm-hmm.
So since I went to BJ's first, we were good guys. We're friendly. We help each other. I would just drop his stuff off in the store when I took mine, and he was good to go. He could do the rest
That's
of
a
his
good lookout.
and go to BJ's when he was ready.
Yeah,
So-
that saved him a lot
Sure
of
it
time.
does, because then you don't have to run that second truck like you said, and you need a favor from someone. And another thing you were talking about was the similarity in the stores, BJ's and Walmart. If you were short a product, you needed product, I had extra. I just transfer it to you. You transfer it back to me when you can. The similarity in the routes was one of the things you paid attention to with all the guys in the branch. Because sometimes some guys would be heavy, sometimes they would be light. You want to help certain people that help you because you're gonna need it at times. When somebody's got an extra tray of something, they'll ask you because they know that you're probably gonna take it because you've got a big store. If they need something, you try to give it to them because there's gonna be a day when you want something, and
Right.
You got to be friendly. You're not alone when
Right.
you're there. The
No.
IOs will help each other. Matter of fact, we depend on each other more than we depend on the office.
Yeah, we support each other more than we get.
I've learned more from the other IOs.
Yeah.
With the handheld
We talked about that
and
last
the
night.
settlement and everything else.
Yeah.
I went to one of those settlement meetings for the branch, and I didn't. Learn
You left with nothing.
I didn't learn any more than I knew.
You
before I
left
went
with
in there.
nothing new.
That matrix that you're looking at, trying to understand it. It's just I don't know whoever invented that system, but it seems like it's something deliberate to keep you from understanding
Right.
exactly.
I
what
got a
they're doing
video
and how
for
they're
you. Me and Ricky did a
you
video.
did one?
We did on,
I'm gonna
and
check that
Ricky
out.
he did a nice breakdown. Understanding settlement. You'll laugh at the thumbnail of the guy up there. He's like this.
Yeah, right.
But he breaks it down. So you sell the route, you get out, and just the other day you were telling me like you felt like you were twiddling your thumbs, like you were saying today. Like sometimes you feel like because you're getting up every morning, you're moving, your
routine
body's
was
going
there,
to
yeah.
routine, and you feel like you could have kept going.
Well, now that I've been on the medicine for a while, and my body doesn't hurt as much as it used to, I feel like I could still keep doing it, but I have days where
You're glad you're not.
the weather and whatever. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not. I sleep better now a little bit because I'm sleeping longer. I'm still covering for other people now that I'm available and don't have a route. That I've got people offering different weeks if I want to work. So since along with the route being paid, my mortgage is paid on the house. Like I said, I'm 62. I'm not ready to retire. I want to go at least a little bit longer to collect Social Security and all that. So I am going to keep working, but limited. You're valuable because you know the system, you know the handheld, you know the products. To preset somebody else's route that you have never preset, it's tricky because you got to put it in the right order to go to some of these stores. Some of these stores I don't have, like the Big Ys, like your Big Y, and a corner store and a market and these other places that you don't go to. You gotta be on your game because you're delivering the product to the store. It has to all be there. It has to be in the right order.
So what I just heard you say is what I want to kind of try to wrap with and to give people the information, which is amazing. You just said you paid for the route, your mortgage is paid, you sold the route, got your money back. You can work when you want because you know the business. Any week during the year, you can work.
Right.
Because in this business, like I always tell everyone, someone's always looking for a day off. Someone's always looking for a week off. There's some guys who haven't had a 6 day, 7 day vacation in years.
That was me.
And the reasoning is not because they can't afford it. They can't find anyone to cover. So
look at you. You went on vacation and your guy bailed on you.
Yeah, and
I had to cover you in a short notice.
And I appreciate that so much. And I was just telling Mark this. I said, this was one of those times where I didn't have to blink an eye. I didn't worry about it.
I had those same stores.
You have the same stores. And not only just that, you know what you're doing. And anything that comes up, you know how to troubleshoot it. So it's not like I have a jumper or someone who's unsure and they don't know what to do. And hey, I got this and I don't know where to put it or where to go. You know, put it somewhere and we'll figure it out.
I only called you once because I was lost.
Yeah, well, that's not to do with delivering or running the route. You just didn't. It was in a complex.
It was 10 days.
That place is a puzzle.
I couldn't find it.
That place is a puzzle if you don't know it. So my point is this: you're in a position right now where you, from working for yourself, you can still continue to work for yourself, and you got a few more years till you can put in for that SSI. And again, you know, you're not draining the system. You've been paying into this system all your life. Right. You've done physical labor for most of your life.
That's another reason I've got the issues I do. I've got
yeah, man.
Myself out. That's why when they say they want to raise Social Security, it's like,
how? When? We'll never reach it.
Construction guys, you got guys walking the beams, you got all these hardworking people that are just trying to make it to 62 or 65, and they want to go to 67, 69. I mean, they're not going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah. So some people are like 10, 13, 14 years away, and you want to put 10 years on that. Right. So, or at 5, whatever it may be. If they go to 70, it's like it's never going to be attainable because they're going off of the percentage of the people that are going to make it to that age. Right. You're like, yeah, we'll never have to pay them. Right. And that's what happens.
They count on a certain amount of people to collect.
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's factored into it.
Absolutely.
And the government's the one that caused this problem because they robbed the Social Security fund for years and put IOUs in it.
Yeah, we don't want to even get into that.
I know, that's a mess of its own.
So yeah. So my point being this, if anyone wants to get into the bread business, the doors are open. Like Bob said, if you're walking in the aisles and you see someone delivering the bread, ask them if they if they have a minute. If you want to know, go to Real Bread Life, realbreadlife.com. There's a website. Real Bread Life on Instagram, Real Bread Life on Facebook with 2 E's. Real Bread Life on TikTok is Breadville. And right now, this is going to be on YouTube and other platforms as well. It's Real Bread Life, RBL. If you punch it in anywhere, it will come up, Real Bread Life. And I want to thank Bob for taking the time out of his day, which he was just out enjoying doing some work for one of his family members and twiddling his thumbs.
Kind of, yeah. Waiting for the snow to melt.
Waiting for the snow to melt. But again, Bob, thank you so much. And again, if there's something we talked about and we didn't cover it in a way that you feel as though you have a question still, you can message me on any of those platforms. And
we'll get you an answer.
We will definitely get you an answer. As always, it's RBL everywhere, Real Bread Life. Thank you, Bob. Say thanks to my man B for helping me with the cameras. And got my shirt on right here.
There you go.
We build together so we don't have to struggle alone. And that's the way this thing works. Not just in the bread business, but in life. If you build with someone, you won't struggle alone. Okay, so you could find the shirts online. Go on the link in YouTube. It'll show you how to get them. If you want to know any more, again, just message me or email me. Real Bread Life. That's all I got for now. Stay blessed and keep stacking. Thanks again, Bobby.
It was a pleasure.
My man.
Yep.
Appreciate you.